Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're going to be talking about something that's
Yeah.
really interesting, I think, and that's the Executive Assessment Exam,
Okay.
the EA.
Right.
And we were just talking before we started recording about how this is something that's kind of come on the scene recently
Yeah,
for those applying to business school,
for sure.
and but it's actually been gaining a lot of traction even outside of the Executive MBA programs that it was
Right.
initially designed for.
Exactly.
And so I think that's what we're going to be kind of digging into today. Like, why is this thing becoming
Yeah. What is the EA?
so
Why?
popular?
Why should people care?
And why should people care exactly?
Yeah.
So maybe you can start by just giving us a little bit of like background on the EA for those who
Sure.
you haven't even heard of it.
Yeah. So the EA, it's pretty new in the world of standardized tests for business school admissions. It was introduced back in 2016 by the Graduate Management Admission Council, or GMA.
Okay.
And it was really intended, as you said, for executive MBA programs,
Hmm.
right? So these are programs designed for, working professionals with quite a bit of experience under their belt already, people who are maybe a little bit further along in their careers.
Gotcha.
So I think for a long time, the GMAT and the GRE kind of ruled the roost when it came to MBA admissions in general.
Oh, for sure.
But then the EA came along and it was like, hey, there's this new option that's specifically tailored
Yeah.
to this group of, seasoned professionals.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like you said, it's so much newer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, 2016 compared to the GMAT and the GRE,
Uh-huh.
those have been around for
Oh, yeah. For
ages,
Yeah.
right? So it's really interesting to see like
For sure.
how quickly it's kind
Yeah,
of gained.
absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, and I think one of the big reasons is because it is shorter than the GMAT and the GRE. It's like, you can take it in 90 minutes
Right.
as opposed to, spending 3-4 hours on a
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge
huge difference.
difference for someone who's
Oh, yeah.
working a full-time job and like maybe has a family and other
No,
responsibilities.
Yeah, you're not trying to, carve out your whole Saturday just to go
Yeah. No.
sit in a testing center.
Right. And when we were kind of looking at the research on this, one of the things that we saw pop up was that some pretty big name schools are now accepting the EA for their full-time MBA programs.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising to see some of the schools that have jumped on board.
Like, who are we?
We're talking like Columbia Business School,
Wow.
NYU, Stern, UCLA, Anderson.
Okay, so these are not
Yeah.
small names.
No, these are some of the top programs in the world.
Yeah, so listeners, if you're thinking about applying to full-time MBA programs, you might want to like jot these down.
Yeah, for sure. Do your research.
Do your research because this is a big deal.
It is a big deal. I think it really signals a shift in how business schools are thinking about admissions.
Right, and I think, our sources mentioned a few advantages to the EA, like it being shorter, like we talked about, maybe a little less pressure because it is shorter.
Right.
But it's also supposed to be more like tailored
Yeah.
for experienced professionals. So I'm curious, like, how does that actually work?
That's a great question.
Like, how is the EA structured differently?
So, the GMAT and the GRE, they really focus a lot on quantitative reasoning. Your math skills, your data analysis skills,
Right.
which are important.
Yes.
But the EA kind of takes a different approach and really emphasizes more verbal reasoning, critical thinking, decision-making in like ambiguous situations.
So are you saying that like maybe someone who has been working for 10 years in a fast-paced business environment
Exactly.
might actually perform better on the EA because they've had to like hone those
Exactly.
skills in the real world?
Yeah, think about it. If you're a manager, you're constantly having to make decisions with incomplete information.
Right.
You're having to analyze data that might not be perfect. You're having to communicate effectively with your team.
It's true.
Like, those are all skills that the EA is designed to assess.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And, the other thing is that I think the EA might actually be a better predictor of success in business school.
Okay. How so?
Well, because it's focusing on those real-world skills that you're actually going to need
Right.
in the classroom and in your career.
Like, it's not just about,
Exactly.
can you do math problems? It's like, can you actually,
Can you think critically?
yeah, think critically.
Can you solve problems? Can you work with other people?
And it's interesting, too, because, you mentioned earlier that it was designed for executive MBA programs, which tend to be more
Right.
focused on people who already have that
Exactly.
experience.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing it being accepted for full-time programs.
Hmm.
So do you think that means that business schools are starting to kind of like shift their focus a little bit?
I think so. I think it's a recognition that, work experience is incredibly valuable
Right.
and that it should be given more weight in the admissions process.
Yeah, it's not just about your GMAT score or your GRE score. It's about what you've actually done
Exactly.
in the world.
It's about the skills you've developed, the experiences you've had.
And I think that's a really positive development,
I agree.
for people who are
Yeah.
applying to business school.
Yeah. I mean, it really opens up opportunities for people who maybe didn't take the traditional path.
Right?
Maybe they didn't go straight from undergrad to a master's program. Maybe they worked for a few years. Maybe they started their own business.
Exactly.
Like, those are all valuable experiences that should be recognized.
Yeah, and it kind of levels the playing field a little bit,
It does.
because not everyone has the
Yeah.
same
Right.
opportunities or the same resources to like prep for these really intense.
Standardized tests.
Yeah.
So I think this is something that, if you're listening and you're thinking about applying to business school, definitely look into the EA.
Yes, definitely do your research.
And see if it's a good fit for you.
And, if you're curious about which schools accept the EA for their full-time MBA programs,
Yeah, where can they go to find that out?
you can head over to MBA.com. They have a whole list of
Oh,
all the
nice.
schools that accept the EA.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah.
Great, definitely check it out.
So it sounds like the EA is really kind of changing the game
I think so.
in the MBA admissions world.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting development.
And it'll be interesting to see how this kind of continues to evolve,
Absolutely.
in the coming years.
Yeah, I think we're just at the beginning of this shift.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, is this the start of like a bigger trend?
Right.
Are we going to see more business schools move away from like these traditional standardized tests and really start to focus more on,
Possible.
experience and skills?
Yeah, I think it's a question that a lot of people are asking.
Definitely something to think about.
For sure.
Well, this has been a really fascinating
I've
conversation.
enjoyed it.
I've learned a lot.
Me too.
And I think our listeners probably have too.
Hopefully.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.